Welcome to StorySpin. I'm Rory, and apparently this is what I do with my free time now. If you've ever wondered how messy people's relationships really get, you're in the right place. Let's dive in, because trust me, it's worse than you think. Okay, so you know how sometimes life circles back? Like, you're just living, minding your own business, and then bam. Someone from your past shows up looking a little older, maybe a little wiser, and suddenly things aren't so black and white anymore. This one, it's not about regret, it's about timing. And maybe, just maybe, are you getting it right the second time? This one comes from the Surviving Infidelity sub. Go ahead.
My ex-wife and I met in college and were madly in love all 4 years we were in school. We got married after graduation in 2010. In 2013, I discovered she had been having an affair for over a year with a co-worker. I was crushed. She said they loved each other, that they were soulmates, that she didn't mean to hurt anyone. Typical emotional justifications. We divorced only 3 months later. It was the worst time of my life. I mourned for over a year. I later heard they got married. One day, I decided I was tired of being sad, so I truly let go of her in my heart, got off the couch, and moved on with my life. I am a programmer by profession, and eventually took a sales consultant role in the software industry. With one of the biggest tech companies in the world, that job has been incredible. I've traveled the globe, every continent, and all the major cities. Life has been a great adventure. I never dated seriously or remarried. I'm not opposed to casual dating and have dated beautiful women all over the world. But after my experience with marriage, I decided it wasn't my path. I have been happy, sometimes lonely, especially during the holidays, but overall, happy. I eventually decided I had done enough traveling, so I changed roles and settled into a position based in a large city in the United States. One Saturday morning, I was sitting in a diner eating breakfast and reading the news, scrolling through Facebook and Reddit, when someone said, "Hey, is that you?" The voice sounded like one of my female co-workers, so I looked up to say hello and my jaw dropped. It was my ex-wife. Here I was, over 2,000 miles from our hometown, and I had not seen her in nearly 6 years, and there she was.
After all the
I
heartbreak,
was
the
dumbstruck.
cheating, the years apart, they
All I
circled
could
all the
manage
way
to
back
say
to each
was,
other.
"Hi."
Married again. Baby
I
on the
hate
way.
to admit it, but
Like none
she
of it
looked
ever
beautiful.
happened. Or like it
She
all
said
had to
I
happen
looked
just to end
amazing.
up here.
She
Growth,
asked if I was
right?
busy
Or maybe
and said
just
she
two
did not
people
want
too
to
tired
bother
to
me,
start
but
over.
she would love to talk.
Look, maybe they've changed.
I said sure.
Maybe it's real
We ended
this
up
time.
talking for over 2
Or
hours
maybe some people call it
and
fate when they're
continued our
just scared to be
conversation with a
alone.
walk in a nearby
Either way,
park.
it's a hell of a story.
We made
Messy,
small talk,
romantic,
mutual acquaintances,
a little
my travel
delusional,
stories,
Kinda like love
everything but
itself.
the elephant in the
See
room.
you in the next one.
Eventually, she asked if I had ever remarried. I said no, once was enough. She seemed sad at that. We walked in silence for about a minute before she said, "I have to say that I am so sorry for what I did to you. You didn't deserve it. It was incredibly crappy and it has haunted me ever since. You did nothing wrong." I told her, "You fell in love with someone else and married them. I could not stop you from doing that. I wanted you to be happy." Then I asked, "Are you happy?" She let out a bitter laugh. She told me that she and the other man fought constantly, and that he ended up cheating on her and leaving her 2 years into their marriage. I said I was sorry that happened. I know how much that kind of heartbreak can hurt. She said she knew too. When her heart was broken, all she could think of was the fact that she had done the same thing to me, and that realization tortured her. She said she spiraled for nearly a year, engaged in very self-destructive behavior, and eventually went to therapy to understand why she was so emotionally broken. She said therapy helped tremendously, and several years ago she finally grew up. She now holds herself accountable for her actions. She moved to this city because she has an aunt here that she is close with, and after her second divorce, before even turning 30, she needed a fresh start. The changes were obvious. She is definitely more mature now. I eventually had to go prepare for an evening with friends, so we said our goodbyes. We exchanged contact information and agreed to meet again for coffee and more conversation. And we have been doing that. We are both single, so I guess there is no harm. I can tell she wants more from me. She wants me to want her back. She drops hints that are not exactly subtle. I am not oblivious, I have to admit. She still has that something, that spark that makes my heart skip a beat. I cannot explain it. It is just chemistry. To be honest, I want to be more than friends. I want to hold her and kiss her. She wants that too, but I have not made a move yet. What is holding me back? Fear. I am afraid of getting hurt again. If she had just been a casual girlfriend, I would have moved on quickly, but she wasn't. She was my wife. She was the love of my life. I used to dream of her somehow coming back into my life. And now that she has, I am terrified. I do not know if I can give her that much of myself again. I am far more protective of my heart now. We have both grown a lot, and the past feels like it happened 100 years ago. If she were not her, I would probably already be head over heels in love again. I keep asking myself, do I try to pursue love with her again? Or do I leave the past in the past? It sounds cliché, but it just had to be her. Of all the people I could have run into in this city, it had to be her. Update: 1 year later, I have gotten so many requests for an update. I have one, but I was hesitant to post it because I figured I would get a lot of backlash. The update is, we got remarried over the Christmas holidays, and we are now expecting a baby. She has grown tremendously as a person. So have I. We are not the same people we were. This is an adult relationship now, and it is much better than before. Combined with the chemistry we have always had, it is wonderful. I could not be happier. I also want to clear up some of the accusations I saw about her tracking me down. She did not. She had moved to our current city before I did. She really had moved on, gone to therapy and grown. I just happened to be in that diner. We both believe it had to be fate or some kind of greater force. Neither of us are religious, but the odds of us running into each other, both single, both having grown, both in a city we had never lived in before, just too wild to ignore. Clearly, the universe had a plan for us. I wish all of you the best of luck. My only advice? Do not close your heart. You never know who might walk back into your life. Some comments from the thread. Did you sign a prenup? My heart says, this is beautiful and romantic. My head said, this is stupid and foolish. Update us in a year or two and hopefully we are all wrong. Get a DNA test.
You know how some stories feel like they're over, but something about them keeps echoing? That chance encounter in the diner? It didn't just stir up old feelings, it cracked something open. Not all reunions are dramatic. Sometimes they're quiet, familiar, like slipping into a version of yourself you thought you outgrew. Anyway, he has something to say.
I found out my girlfriend of 2 years was messaging someone she used to be involved with, telling him she missed him and wanted to meet, while we were on a vacation I had planned, in a place she had always wanted to return to. For some background, my girlfriend, 25 years old, studied abroad for a semester while she was in university before we met. She loved every second of it, mostly because it gave her an escape from her toxic home life and strict parents. During that semester, she spent a week with a guy she had a brief fling with when her roommate had gone back home for a visit. She never hid that part of her past from me. This year, for her birthday, I surprised her with a trip back to the country where she had studied abroad. I knew how much it meant to her, so I handled everything. Booked the flights, rented a car, found a beautiful apartment with a great view. She's currently juggling full-time work and full-time school, so I thought it would be the perfect way for her to relax and revisit a time that made her happy. A few days into the trip, we were having breakfast. She was sitting next to me on the couch when I happened to glance at her phone and saw that she was messaging the guy from back then. I remembered his name from when she and her friend had talked to me about their time overseas. I immediately felt suspicious, so I calmly asked if we could talk. I gently brought up what I saw and asked what it was about. We rarely fight, our relationship has been great overall. She told me it was just a friendly message. She had remembered him and wanted to check in and see how he was doing. I tried to take her at her word and didn't push further in the moment, but I was quiet for the rest of the day. It felt strange that she would suddenly think of him after all this time, especially considering their connection was brief and mostly casual. Later that afternoon, I asked if I could see the full conversation. She agreed, but I could tell she was nervous as she handed me her phone. The messages started off casual, just catching up, but then she told him she had been thinking about him since arriving and that she missed the time they spent together. She asked if he could come meet her there. He declined, saying he had other obligations. Then she suggested he come visit her in our hometown, offering to show him around and even help with accommodations. He replied that the idea felt strange and he wouldn't be available for that anytime soon. She responded, "Okay, haha, I knew you wouldn't come." Reading that made my heart sink. I had believed this was the woman I would build a future with. We had even started planning to move in together. I didn't say anything right away. I waited until we got back home to have a serious talk. I asked her what she was really hoping to achieve by reaching out to him, especially during a trip I had planned for her while we were literally sitting next to each other. I remembered seeing her using Google Translate the day before, and it all clicked. He speaks a different language, and she was likely already messaging him at that point. She told me she had been feeling nostalgic, that messaging him reminded her of how free and happy she had felt back then, away from her family and the pressure of daily life. I asked her point blank, what would she have done if he had said yes? What if he had agreed to come meet her? She said she knew he wouldn't, that she never expected him to say yes. I know her phone password, and she has never hidden her phone from me. She leaves it unattended, uses it openly, and has never given me a reason to snoop. But still, this felt different. She told me she loves me, that she sees her future with me, that she had a moment of poor judgment, and this was just a way to reconnect with a version of herself she missed, not him specifically. She swore that she never cheated. About 5 months into our relationship, she had messaged her ex and came clean to me about it. She showed me the texts then. It really was just catching up, nothing inappropriate. I believed her at the time, but this feels different. This one hurts. She's shown a lot of regret and has been very understanding of how much this affected me, but I'm stuck. I'm afraid she crossed a line, or that she already has, and I don't know if I'll ever fully trust her again. Does he? This count as cheating? And even if it doesn't, is it something I can forgive? Here are some of the comments she missed. The time they spent together, which was mostly physical. Bro, did you even read what you wrote? She wanted to cheat on you and got rejected. That's double the pain. She tried to cheat on you. The only reason it didn't happen is because he rejected her, which is both hilarious and sad. You can't fix broken trust. You'll never stop being suspicious. Best to move on. That's pretty shady. I'd be nervous how much she would be willing to do to relive those old times. Also, what if she starts feeling nostalgic in the future instead of trying to make new memories with you? She was focused on visiting old ones. I personally wouldn't be able to look past this, and it would shake my trust and confidence of her to the point I'd end the relationship. Sounds like she's shopping. Time to move on. She actively tried to cheat, got turned down. He even called her out on her bad behavior, and you're making excuses for her. She will cheat when given the chance. Update me.
So, after all the heartbreak, the cheating, the years apart, they circled all the way back to each other. Married again. Baby on the way. Like none of it ever happened. Or like it all had to happen just to end up here. Growth, right? Or maybe just two people too tired to start over. Look, maybe they've changed. Maybe it's real this time. Or maybe some people call it fate when they're just scared to be alone. Either way, it's a hell of a story. Messy, romantic, a little delusional. Kinda like love itself. See you in the next one. Anyway, that's all I've got. Thanks for sticking around, or whatever. I'll catch you in the next one, unless I finally delete this app like I keep saying I will.